Well, welcome back, you beautiful spuds. Hey, we've made it to part 2 of my Satisfactory videos. Look, I'm glad you've decided to float with me yet again, or maybe this is the first time on my PotatoStream. If it is, I do want to start off with the simple fact, if you haven't watched the first video about Satisfactory, I'd say go back, watch it, because I'm going to continue where I kind of left off of there and kind of get into some more advanced talk about how this game works. Now, if you don't care about that, let's just keep floating then. So, I fast forward just a little bit. After you get to about 3 hours of playing, you should have something around close to here. Or maybe more. This is clearly what 3 hours of me playing looks like. If you're ahead or behind, that means nothing. I think one of the biggest things is if you are behind or kind of, if anything of your gameplay looks like this, where you have buildings on the ground, your placement kind of looks rough, it's kind of almost has like a little, it's just all janky all over the place. In this game, sometimes you're going to start and struggle a little bit because you got to get all the basics down. You got to learn how to divide yourself up. You got to get iron. But then as you're doing iron, you're going to need copper. Then after copper, you're going to realize you need limestone. Shortly after that, though you can be stuck on those three for a long time before you move on. You might have found Caterium or whatever that goldish looking metal is. And there's other things you could have found. You could already have found quartz. You could have already found sulfur. You could have found coal by accident. And whatever other thing that you've added into the mix, plus those original three, you might be realizing you're juggling a lot. And of course, one of the big things you can do is just plop those portable miners down to scoop up to 100 resources. You make a whole bunch of those. You drop like 5 to 10 on each of these mines. It does all the work for you, and then all you have to do is run over, scoop up all of them, or as many as you need, and run back over, turn those into whatever item you're needing. Now, of course, even at 3 hours, if you're doing that, you're going to be doing everything by hand. So maybe by 3 hours, maybe it takes you 5 hours or a little bit more, but maybe you decide, okay, I'm going to start making some automation. So you build your constructors, you make some belts, and then you make a storage shed. And then, of course, if you've unlocked it, then you can actually add to the MK1 miner, which is a self-sustained. Well, I mean, you have to have power to it, but it just digs it up for you. And then you can belt that. Now, belt that into your constructor, and then those into a storage unit. You now have, as long as the power's on, a continuous stream of production. So as you have that running, you now have the problem where you're going to have to work your ass off to pay the electric bill. Because you're going to find out time and time again, as you're adding more stuff onto your power line, and some people do it different. Sometimes I've seen people want to do individual power lines where each location or each mine has its own separate power system. I would recommend against that, just because once it runs out of fuel, and it's going to run out of fuel, you're going to find out that you're constantly having to run back and forth to each mine just to see if the power's on. And you're going to get that notification that you popped broken again. It's going to tell you that you lost electricity, and it's going to give you that constant reminder. The game always tells you, hey, your fuse broke. You either didn't pay the electric bill or you overtaxed the line. Every time you turn around in the game, you always now have to get your power back up and running because you've clearly overtaxed the system. And that's what happens in this game, because you're constantly having to divide your time. You're always pushing the power grid. Every person in Satisfactory is pushing the power grid. You're constantly always needing more energy. It never ends. You work your ass off and you go out. You're on the job site. You're doing math. You're doing measurements. You're trying to get this plan, the floor plan, the way you want it. You find out a fuse has been blown. You go check, you realize, I either need another biomass engine to support what I'm doing, or you just simply ran out of fuel. So then that now means you have to re-add another biomass engine, or you have to go and become a lumberjack now and a gardener. You have to go out, spend the next 10, 20, 30 minutes scooping up, chopping, doing anything you can so you can come back home, throw that shit in the incinerator, and get back to being a foreman and actually finishing the job you were currently doing. That's one of the things that from solo to cooperative play, if you can get a friend or other friends, because you can play with up to 4 people, 3 other people, you can start dividing what each of you are doing. So you can actually have one of you building one of the bases, while at the same time one of you could go hunting and scouting for that next thing you need. One of you can be your gardener, lumberjack, making sure the power stays on. And you can have a nice balance where all of you are working together. Now, that's always fun when you're working together and everything goes good. And in no way am I saying that that hasn't been most of the cases with me, and hopefully with yourself. You do, though, when you play multiplayer, run into sometimes a situation where everyone has a different ideal of what a functioning floor plan is. Sometimes everyone wants to do the same thing, and then you kind of get into each other's way. Dividing the chores is one thing, but when you have people with their own opinions and you have slightly overlapping, well, what's the consensus of what we want to do? And of course, in my case, rarely, but sometimes you just have people, and there's nothing wrong with this. Actually, this is one of those games that it's actually really good to be OCD anal. I want it this way. I only want it this way. And there is nothing wrong with that. When you're playing with other people, though, you do have to scale that back and be more understanding. Like, if I'm going to do this and then I say you do that, then kind of you need to work together. You can't just go back and then undo everything that player does. That isn't fair to them. That isn't fair to the whole ideal of being a team. If they're struggling and they ask for help, or they're struggling and the way they've built it is not functioning, not that it doesn't look good to you or function the way you want it to, but if it is functioning, then really, I think we should all just take a step back and realize, hey, I just work as a team, and because this is what happens. You find yourself where your partner or your partners are doing things that you don't like at all. It's going to put a strain on your friendship, or at least your friendship for the game. You don't want your friend telling you they're tired of your bullshit. Sometimes Kevin needs to know that if you're in charge of keeping the power up and he wants to build 30 constructors all at one moment, all to start making one specific thing for no reason whatsoever, maybe inform the other player who is on power that you're about to attach all of that stuff and blow all the fuses. You gotta give them a heads up. But, hopefully that isn't an issue. And of course, if you're playing solo, this isn't an issue at all. And in no way am I saying that the multiplayer isn't fun. I have a great time. And I really think have a game that is only solo, and then find friends. Find people that you can play this game with. Because I'm going to tell you, the game is, I think, made to work on team building. It's a great exercise. You not only learn to work together, this is not only is a fun game, but I think it helps teach us as fellow spuds to learn how to cooperate and manage not only our friendship, but learn how we can all work together to get a project done without fighting at each other. So my final verdict would be have your own solo game, and then of course, if you can, get you somebody, 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, and get them to join a game as well, and have a game for them and then a game for yourself. That way you don't feel like you're being cheated. And I definitely think there are several people that they do want to play multiplayer, but at the same time, they like being completely in control. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I would definitely say just play both sides of the fence. Give yourself your solo game where you can be in 100% control. And then when you're playing your cooperative game, You now shouldn't feel like you have to be in control of everything. Learn to cooperate. Learn how to grow as not a person, but that friendship that you have. As you guys learn, this is what we made. Not what you made. Not what you made me make. Not what you redid, but we together did this. And I think you would have a great experience in that multiplayer game more if you can appreciate the teamwork of the collaboration. Now, of course, it's not going to look, you go back to your solo game is going to look very different than your collaboration game. But that does not mean either one is better. I just think you should experiment and enjoy both. And if I think you're doing both, you would have you won't have as, hopefully, a narrow, locked-in position where you're like, no, I only want to play solo. I don't like playing with other people. It's bullshit. I don't want to do that. Or I don't want to play alone. That's boring. I just want to play with somebody. I don't really care. I think if you do both, I think you'll be able to manage, I think, a happy medium. Or at least that's my opinion. Going to a solo play, I will definitely say, when you don't have somebody else in the game with you, there isn't as much pressure on what I'm doing. When you have other people playing, everyone's kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to do this, you need to do that. Or you go, hey, can you do that? I'm going to do this. So now we're all equally trying to stay productive, or just goof off, or try to undo what other people are doing. Now, of course, just don't be a tool about it, but you and your friendship with that person, if that means you delete stuff behind their back just to goof with them, hey, that's fine. Just know, do it in good humor, because you might piss them off. But if we're playing solo, then one of the things that I think is very important is this game has no time schedule. Nothing. Actually, the longer you take, the better it is, because with the automation, sometimes you're just standing around you're just waiting for the building to make stuff, or you have to step in and start hand making stuff. And when you pop the power, you can always have that urge of oh God, I'm not being productive right now. I need to go and hurry up and turn the power back on, or I'm not going to be making stuff. But now just remember, take a little breather. There is no pressure. Yes, if the power's popped, you aren't making anything. That is true. But now, in early game, and sometimes even mid-game, you can have lines that dead end. So you have, let's say, your Caterium mine, and you have Caterium being turned into ingots, and then those ingots are being turned into quickwire, and you have the quickwire being stored in a storage bin. Well, after your miners back up by turning it all into bricks, and your bricks are now backed up because they've turned all of that into wire, and your line, you maybe put one storage unit. You could have put 4 storage units, but let's say time has passed. It's full, and you don't have it attached to anything, so it's just sitting there. That means every single one of those machines, your constructors making quickwire, and your smelters making the bricks, and your miners digging up the ore, none of them are doing anything now. Is that a problem? No, because you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 storage bins. Now later in the game, you might want to actually start making some points, tickets, and you can build a little ticket mulching machine, and then it'll take your extra product of your overflow, and it'll turn that into tickets that you can then use to unlock stuff. But what I'm trying to get at is now that you have those 3 storage bins, the 1 storage bin, maybe that's all in your desire, your heart right now. That is enough. It's filled. You're just like, I got plenty of quickwire. I don't need quickwire for anything else. I'm good. Well, then you pop the power. What are you stressing over? You already got all of that there. You don't need to worry about making more. Now, of course, iron's a little bit more different, because iron, you're having to make plates, and you're having to make rods, and you're having to have your rods get turned into screws. A lot of your basic material all going upwards all uses iron as your main focus. Iron is the bedrock foundation of this game. Plates, rods, and screws are going to be in so many complicated recipes as you go and build up and up and up. You're always going to have to go back to those original plates, rods, screws. Now, of course, not everything involves iron, but a lot of stuff does. So don't be surprised if you have to redo your iron base or your hub multiple times if you're doing a whole one building, everything's there. Because iron is one of the most complicated things to do. And I say complicated because you start the game, most likely your first automated line was iron. You started the game finding iron, you have iron, and now that you have all this iron, as time goes by, you might be on 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. At some point, you're going to go back and go, wow, I've learned a lot more about how I want to build everything. But for the most part, my original starting iron area, or multiple iron areas, they might be a little lackluster as you get to hour 5, hour 8, hour 10. And you go, wow, I keep patching what I need here and just kind of like adding on haphazardly, and you could find yourself struggling. The best thing to do, and I know this is sometimes hard for people to do, but just delete it all. Just delete it. You're gonna get a whole bunch of moving boxes everywhere, but like you pick those moving boxes up, just build a whole bunch of it's literally like a renovation. What I usually do is I build a platform. I'll build like maybe 5 or 6 storage units. You can stack them up on each other. You can stack them side by side. Go over to wherever that area was, that iron area, let's say. I don't like it anymore. I delete. Scoop everything up that I can hold, run over to that storage shed, drop it all in there. Go back, start deleting, scoop it all up, put it in that second storage shed. Delete more, scoop it all up, put it in that fourth storage shed. And you do that until your area is crisp and clean again, and then you redo the thing. Delete everything that's in the way, and then one of my biggest things that I also should add in here is don't be afraid to build off the ground. And not just off the ground. First, you're gonna always want to get off the actual ground. You're gonna want to build platforming and then build your buildings on platforming. The game was not made to really play on the ground. Early game, you have to. As you go through the game, you can always, but it's just not ideal. None of your stuff snaps together. It's harder to do. And there's so much stuff in this game that's in your way. So one of the biggest things is you're going to want to build everything on a platform. Well, this is my extra tip. Don't be afraid to go higher in the air. Look around your area, place a platform. Then I would say the biggest tip I can give you is make a good solid foundation. Make a little swash, maybe 10 by 10. After you do that, is it clipping in anything? Did you hit a mountain? Did the hill come up on the one end? You had plenty of room, and then you realized as you got to the right corner of your 10 by 10, you're now almost gonna butt up to a hill that's now in the way. Maybe there's trees in the way. Now, trees is a good thing as long as you can cut them down. Don't be afraid to place platforming if there's wildlife and trees in your way, because you're going to eventually unlock a chainsaw. And the best thing to do is after you build that platform, if you got trees sticking up through it, you're just go become a logger, jump off your platform safely, go up underneath it, chainsaw all of that out of the way. It's gone now. You can get back up on your platform. There's no problem. The thing that is the problem is when you have non-removable objects in your way. And maybe I'm just a stickler, but I hate it when those things are clipping into my walls, into my platforms, into my building design, because now I have to worry about walking around this weird rock or this weird obstruction like arch stone thing jutting out of the ground. And there's so many different things you would know hopefully by hour 5. There's going to be stuff that gets in your way, and it can't be deleted in any way. So you have to work around it or just move your stuff over so it doesn't include it. And so that's my only real suggestion from me is just make sure when you make your little platform that it's out of the way of everything. Now, of course, You don't have to keep, I would definitely say some areas don't need to be 10 by 10. Whatever works for you. If you want it to be more of like a triangle or whatever shape you want the main factory or this area to be, you work that out on yourself. But I like the whole 10 by 10 just to give you an open up. You just, the ideal is to just make sure you can see your surroundings and everything looks good for future planning and building. The only other thing to add is if you got multiple locations and you've built platforming separate from each of those locations, you're now going to have a problem where you're never going to be able to snap perfectly that platform to the other platform. This is where I'm a little unsure of, because I've tried it and it doesn't really work. You can hold that snapping button and it'll snap it together. My friend tells me that will actually put it on like a world grid. But I don't think that's actually true, because I have done that multiple times testing, and it'll snap stuff at different areas that don't snap together in different places. Maybe I'm just dumb and I'm not doing it right, but to me, I've not been able to get that to work, so I might just be a dummy. My thing that I do, and you may not like doing this, is wherever my main base is. Now, of course, you can move your main base at any point, but wherever it is, I make that my foundation, the 10 by 10, and I do it until I'm like, okay, this is happy, I like this is going to be my base. Sometimes I go off and I just do a base, and I just decide, okay, I'll just have to snap it together later in a weird way. And there's some creative ways that you can put different leveled areas together. But for the most part, if I do have the time and I'm not rushing or anything for whatever weird reason, because I'm just trying to get ahead of what I'm wanting to do, don't be afraid to, when you're walking to a new location, just build platforms there. Yeah, you're going to have platforms everywhere, but you can always delete those. Go back, delete them. But since you made them the whole way snapped against your platform that you came from, they're going to always snap back perfectly. So then when you get to that new location, you just now delete all of that. Though, of course, you may want a walkway all the way from the one factory to the other. You may not, but if you want, you can keep that there to have a quick access back and forth. And then now when you get to your new location, you now have a new platform that exactly matches your other platform. And you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to mush the two together. Though I will say, the game developers were amazing on how easily they made it to where you can just mush things together. Some of the overlapping looks bad, but I love that the game has no problem with you overlapping anything. It wants you to be able to have what you want, and if you want to snap stuff together, it doesn't say, no, you can't do that. It says, go ahead. Though some stuff doesn't look good, so personally to me, I don't like it. Though if you're happy with what you do, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, make what you think looks good and what you find functioning. Other than that, who cares what anyone else thinks? But yeah, so those are some of my tips. Hopefully you already know that by now, but we can just, if I didn't tell you anything you didn't know, we can at least share a moment here where like we can both look at each other and go, yeah, I knew that, I got you. I'm doing the same thing. Thanks for giving me that positive reinforcement, because now I know I'm not the only one that does that. But yeah, so shoot, let's see, without rambling, let's see, what else can I say about this game? All right, so let's say, for an example, we get to a point where we're playing, and let's say you want to add a sulfur or a caterium mine. You haven't had that before, but you're like, I really want to add some sulfur. You know, a little bit later in the game, you can get sulfur and coal, and you can start making gunpowder. Use that for explosives, which is very beneficial because it allows you to blow up rocks that are sometimes placed over slugs or mines or stuff in your way. And then it also gives you the ability to blow up those horrible little plant creatures that when you walk next to them, they sprout up and start shooting poison at you. They can be blown up. You can't do anything. You can't chainsaw them. You can't attack them. But if you make an explosive, you can get rid of those things. And then they're gone. So yeah. So maybe you're just tired of dealing with those spore creatures and you're like, I need to get some coal, I need to get some sulfur. And so you go to find them, and maybe they're close by, maybe they're not. You might have to run a far away. You start working your way there. Let's say you're moving platforms there, or maybe you're just trying to get ahead of the game and you're just trying to get some power poles. You're walking towards the mine as you go. Some people do that. That may not be you. Some people like to go and find the mine and then work backwards and start connecting a power line to the mine and then going all the way back to wherever you want your power, your hub is, or wherever your whole power grid is. Some people go in the other direction. They're just like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going to move a power pole with me as I go. That way I don't have to worry about fooling with it. Either way is fine. So you go. Usually what happens is at some point you're going to run out of supplies. It always happens. You're in the middle of doing something and you realize, shit, I don't have advanced plates, or I ran out of rods, or I don't even have plates, or I ran out of concrete, you know? Especially if you are somebody like myself who puts platforming everywhere that takes concrete and iron sheets. At some point, after you've dropped your 300th platform, those 1,500 bags of concrete and the 600 sheets of metal that you thought would last you forever are gone. You might have run out of sheets, you might have run out of concrete. Now your ass has to stop immediately what you're doing. You're going to have to go run back and get more supplies. It never fails. Then you get your supplies, you go back to the other base, you continue doing what you were doing to find out you now don't have screws, or you didn't bring a portable miner with you. So now you got everything you need, but you don't have a portable miner. One of the easiest things you can do is just add into your little quick hot bar the craft bench, slap that baby down, or the equipment workshop, slap that baby down if you got the supplies, wherever you be, slap it down, hand make whatever you need, and as soon as you hand make it, delete it back out of your inventory, and you dematerialize it to rematerialize it next time you need it again. You always have as long as you got the base supplies on you to make a equipment workshop or a crafting bench, don't be afraid. Just throw it down, use it, and then re-put it back in your pocket. There's no shame in that. You don't have to just leave. I mean, you can always, if at every job site you go, if you don't want to have to worry about accidentally not having even the supplies to make those, you can always just drop a workshop, put a crafting bench down and just leave it there. Anytime you're there, you now have a workbench for your disposal. Hand make anything you need to do, or you're going to have to go back and get the stuff you need. So while you're doing all of that, to me, sometimes my brain starts going all of the stuff. So I'm at this new base, I'm trying to put sulfur together, and then as I'm doing that, I realize that I did my math wrong, and I've added a whole bunch of stuff. So now I need all of this other things. So let's say I need screws. I don't want to hand make screws. I need a whole bunch more screws. So I run back to my iron mine, and I get to my iron mine, and I realize that I have been under making screws. Actually, my screws are horribly messed up. And as I look at it and I start digging into it, okay, I can maybe, all right, if I do this, I can up my screw production. If I do this, okay, this is looking good, Oh shit, I popped the freaking grid. Oh, no, I didn't. Actually, I'm about to pop the grid. Okay, I'll add a couple more engines. Okay, but I'm about to run out. And now that I have 2 more engines, okay, time to be a gardener, lumberjack. Gotta go do that. Okay, I'm done. You get to go back. All right, finish my screw production. Okay, it's done. Well, now I gotta wait for it. I guess I'll go garden some more. So I'm gonna go back, lumberjack for another 30 minutes, give my machines enough time to make screws. Because I was like, I could hand make it all, but as I'm hand making it, my fuel is going to get lower. So you know what? Might as well just let the machine do it. It's going to make it faster anyway. And while it's doing it, I can just make sure that I get enough fuel to keep everything running, pay my electric bill. So I'm going to go do that. So take a break, go gardening, come back, and everything's looking good on screws. But while I was doing that, I'm like, you know what? I can add a little bit more on my plates. So you start doing that. And then as you do that, you realize, wait a minute, I was trying to do a sulfur mine. Okay, so at this point, you maybe have just wasted an hour 2 hours on nothing that had to do with your sulfur mine other than you were trying to fix the back end of stuff so that you could make a sulfur mine. So you're like, okay, I'm going to go back to my sulfur mine. So you get back over there and you're cranking out those final details. You're getting it all done and you're like, all right, time to start powering everything up. And that's when you realize you don't have any cable on you. So you're like, okay, now I'm going to go back over to the copper mine because I have no cable. So you go over to the copper mine, you find your cable, and lo and behold, you're looking at it and you realize every single machine is maxed out. It's fine. The copper mine's doing great, but every storage bin is completely full on wire. Every storage bin is completely full on cable, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. And you're like, you know what? I don't like that it's not doing anything. I want some tickets. This is great. I'm as of right now, I'm not really doing a lot with the my copper, and I have all these storage bins, so I think I'm fine. If I start mulching some of it, in no way am I going to run out. So you put one of the ticket mulchers and you spend about 5-10 minutes, and here now all of your extra supplies, you're going over to the mulcher and you're like, okay, I'm good. And as soon as you start to walk away, your whole power grid pops. And then you realize, you walk over to the power pole, you look at the line, and you go, yeah, all of those machines were not using electricity because they were all maxed out. And because they were all maxed out, nothing was being made. And because nothing was being made, I safely wasn't using those 150 megawatts. But guess what? Now I am. Now I have to build more machines because I don't have enough to support my power grid. So then you have to go back to your energy sector and redo it. Then you realize now I'm using so much more energy, I have to go back and cut some more wood. And then you come back to realize it's looking good. Now we can go back to the sulfur mine and finish the sulfur mine. So you get there. Now you have your cable. You wire it all up. Luckily, you made adjustments so you knew that you had to have more for that sulfur mine. So now the power grid's fine. So you start doing that, but now you're realizing you are using a lot of power, which uses a lot of fuel. And you're going, I think I need to go to the next step. I already got coal. I'm already making sulfur and coal to these assemblers. And these assemblers are taking a lot of freaking power. I guess it's time to go into coal power. Hopefully you've unlocked that far. If you haven't, this might be the time to decide that you need to slow down on making gunpowder, because as of right now, gunpowder might not be important to you. What is important is getting to the ability to make the next tier of energy, and coal power is your next train of thought, because with coal power you can now have, at least for the most part, a self-renewing resource that'll, as long as you got everything correctly connected, it'll just generate power for you and you don't have to go gardening. It'll just hand deliver your coal and put the water in there to make the steam, and if everything's right, you now have a whole energy system that is self-sustaining. You don't have to do any of the work. As long as the conveyor belts are working, you're good. But yeah, so this has just been me rambling. And in no way, I hope I'm not losing you to the game. If this is somebody who hasn't played, and you're just like, I don't know if I want to play this. This is me trying to share my experience, and hopefully if you've already put, 10 hours, 20 hours, 50 hours, 100 plus, 200 hours, you already know this. And hope, if you're still playing, you clearly know that this is just how the game goes. These are like just the pickings of like, God, hopefully I'm just trying to resonate with you on how my experiences was of just the problems, and you're always having to overcome. It's just so easy to get sidetracked in this game. That's what I'm trying to say. And, and that's one of the things that I love about the game, is just how you try to do one thing, and to get that one thing accomplished, sometimes you actually have to accomplish 6 other things, but it's so rewarding then. It's literally satisfying. It's like Satisfactory. It's a satisfying factory making game. Because that's what happened. You get done, and then you're standing there, your character's standing there, and you're just looking at what you finished. And, in another 50 hours, you may not like what you just made. But I'm going to tell you right now, where you're standing right now, you look at what you just built, and I know there's pride, there's joy, and there's that reward of, yeah, I did that. Look at that. If I would be so bold, I would say, I think I did that pretty good. Pretty damn good. And I think that's how my experience is with this game. I would definitely say I always feel like my progress and the problem solving, overcoming the hurdles is just a sweet and satisfying experience. It makes the hundreds of hours worth it in the fun. I'm at 500 plus hours now. I've played probably 8 different maps, various times on each one. Some of them I was in control of, some of them was multiplayer, but in all of them, actually, hold on. So I've lied. Yeah. So I have 500 hours on every game that I locally have saved on my system. Shoot. Every game that has not been on my system is not tallied on my Steam account, as far as I know. I could be wrong. Maybe I might be wrong. I do think Steam... I have to look into that. I'm not sure. Whether or not... Actually, leave me that in the comment if you would know. I don't know if Steam actually knows my whole progress or just... I'm not quite sure if that actually is tallying just my gameplay on everything, or if it's tallying... It has to be. It has to be just tallying mine. I don't know. Leave me that in the comments if you know, because I might be way over 500 hours if it's not tabulating all of the times I've played on somebody else's system on their game. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. All right, well, I think hopefully we've floated together. I've given you a whole bunch of my thoughts on the game. I actually feel like I've talked a lot longer over the game that I didn't think I'd have all the words for. I felt like when I originally sat down to try to talk about everything, I thought that I'd have more time to also kind of talk with you just about random stuff. I'm going to be honest, I actually think I'm going to have to save that for a third video. Yeah, I definitely think a third video is needed. I feel like I have more to say, and I'd love to have more conversations about stuff, but I think I'm happy where I'm at on that. I would definitely say, before we get close to me signing off or anything, I just want to say, hey, can I talk to you for a quick moment about your car's extended warranty? No, I'm just joking. But if you haven't yet subscribed to me, I'd love to be a staple up on your subscription wall. Or we can keep this platonic. If you just want to drop in, float with me, and then go your way and not come back to visit me, that's fine. We can keep it that way. But I'd love a subscription. If it doesn't hurt you, it helps me, I'll tell you that. Give me a like, give me a comment, and that's it. I'm not bug you anymore over that. Though I would say, if you really enjoy me and you're already subscribed, and you're like, look, you say this every time, you keep saying subscribe, but I'm already subscribed, so shut up. This is what I'd have to say. Well, fellow spud, if you're already subscribed, then share my video with one of your friends. Maybe with a stranger. Hey, share my video with an enemy. Yeah. You got somebody you don't like? You don't like them at all? You want to ruin their day? Share my video with them. Yeah, that'll really ruin their day. They may have to watch my PotatoStream, and they may have to subscribe to me, and it might just ruin their day. So, do me a favor and send my video to the worst person you know on your contact list. Because you know what? I think that's the best thing you can do to ruin their day. That's all I'm saying. That's all I gotta say. Alright, so, other than that, my fellow Spud, I hope today has been treating you good. Hopefully you're having a good day, maybe a great day, maybe a wonderful day. If you ain't, hopefully it's gonna lead that way. I hope when you go to bed tonight, you can lay your head on your pillow and you can say, you know what, today wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It was good. Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's what this Spud is wishing for you in your life. Other than that, look, let's see. I don't know if I want to repeat myself on anything else. So, yeah. Thanks so much for floating with me. And I think this is the end of our stream. I think it's good. I think it's good. Next time, I think I want to share some more. I got stuff. I have a whole bunch of stuff I was going to talk about that has nothing to do with this game. I just kind of like, because I wanted to do just like last time, I wanted to talk with you. But shoot, this video's already gotten pretty long. I didn't realize how much I had to talk about just the game itself. So, hopefully, I'm going to run out. No, not hopefully, but I might run out of stuff to say in the next video. So I'll be able to talk about other topics as well. And we can kind of go from there. But yeah, there is going to be a third video. But other than that, until next time, you beautiful Spuds, have a great day. Now, have a wonderful day. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.